guys. I'm going to make this video. It's going to be called Continued Surveillance. All right, they've continued to be watching me like on different street corners and shit. Isolated. I had someone that I knew that was claimed to be a targeted individual. They moved out of the state. They don't talk to me anymore. Not right away. After a couple of years after moving out of the state, they were talking to me, and then they just stopped talking to me. Had that happen. I've had tons of things happen. Workplace harassment since the last video. Not since the last video, but since like the past few months. I tried to get hired this spring for a couple jobs. Got harassed off both of them. I've been harassed at every job. Every single job. Just except for one. They've done workplace harassment. Continued police surveillance was pretty heavy today. Very heavy because I bought a laptop for myself. Again, the last laptop, I posted this on Twitter X, was destroyed by gang stalking, the criminal syndicate. Most of your police officers that claim to be really good people on the exterior outside of their job are nothing more than cult members or, syndicate, illegal syndicate, members, network members that have joined this group. They've taken oaths to protect, their motives, their incentives, their financial gain. And I've experienced this for so long, decades, that I'm going to be filing my own personal lawsuit against the state at this point because they've allowed it. The Attorney State General has allowed it. They've been neglectful, which means they've ignored. They know what's going on, but they're ignoring it. Still blacklisted from any sort of supplemental, work with. I don't want to work with anyone because I don't have to, right? So I do my own thing now, and I run a small business, and I'm not worried. I love it. I've got free time. I make way more money than I've, starting to. Haven't been doing it that long yet. Doing it a couple months, and I've made more money in the past couple months than I've ever made from being an employee. And I get paid quicker, and I get paid right away after every job. So I just got to do a good job for people. And now that I have a laptop, I can manage and market. Another thing I'm working on, another little project for money that I want to work on. It's just really, man, this whole thing's opened my eyes. And I know you guys can probably understand, what I'm talking about with the MK Ultra, the trauma-based mind control, being isolated, having fake, friends that have been, either they were plants or they were perps like maybe the whole time, or maybe they became perps. I think it's a combination of both with what I've dealt with. Not everyone's targeting is the same. I've dealt with a lot of police surveillance. I've dealt with a little bit of V2K here and there. It's not every day. I've dealt with a lot of electronic shocks on my body, wirelessly, feeling like shaking or vibration, like impulses on my body, like different parts. Dealt with, like I said, workplace harassment everywhere, the surveillance aspect, phone tapping, all the while not committing any crimes. I might have slipped up and smoked some weed here and there, but that's about it. And the chick, the last girl, pardon me, the last woman that I was with it's really early. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning over here, where I'm at, in Indiana, central Indiana. The last woman that I had dated was definitely a gang stalker. Working with the police to put me in jail. The ultimate goal was to try to get me to do a life sentence or to try to get me to overreact. They're always trying to egg me on physically to do something. They wanted me to lash out. And this is a way to get, they'll use women because they know, and if you're a man, if you want to, you date women, obviously. If you're a woman, vice versa, they'll use these perps and these gang stalkers to provoke you into committing crimes. And so so the ends justify the means even more. So then it's easier to discredit your reputation and to make you look like a fool to everybody else. Because it's like, oh, well, where's this guy? Oh, he's in jail, or oh, he's in the psych unit, or oh, he's on medication, or they're on medication. We've got them all strung out because there's just something that's misfiring or not working in their brain. all complete lies. All and I'm glad they're starting to reverse a lot of the stuff in our food. And biggest thing they need to take out is not only the stuff in the food, the air and the water. Get the fluoride out of the water. That stuff is poison. It was never supposed to be there, right? It was never supposed to be there. So fluoride has been linked to a lot of things. It's a neurotoxin, It calcifies the pineal gland. It doesn't take very much of it to do so. And they just kept pumping it. They've basically been pumping fluoride in our water since World War II, since that era, maybe even longer. But definitely since my whole life, since I've been alive. So it's a big problem. That's a huge problem. And somebody can eat junk food here and there and still be okay, but even a little bit of junk food is terrible fuel for the body. It may keep you alive. It may be caloric intake, but it's terrible. The output is mental clarity issues. I'm sure they put parasites in our food. I'm sure they put a ton of stuff in our food that's not good. And as I'm making this video, I'm feeling an electronic vibration on my right butt cheek. So for example, on there like muscle groups, bigger muscle groups like my legs, my ass, my arms, my chest, shoulders, and back, they'll shoot. And I think they're shooting at me, or it feels like somebody's connecting with a wireless, directed energy weapon. I've had the radiation where they've heated up my chest, and it felt like somebody was microwaving me. And you can even rub your fingers down this microwave radiation and see that it looks like a sunburn. It looks like a sunburn, but it's not from sunlight radiation. It's from wireless, invisible to the eye radiation that is causing that sort of redness on the skin. And it burns too. It doesn't really look red. The appearance, my bad, I'm yawning again. I'm so tired, but I can't sleep, so I thought I'd make a quick short video. And then it also burns too. It stings when you touch that area that they're beaming the directed energy weapons at. The area in which they're directing the energy at is really sensitive, and then it hurts sometimes. But I think they can induce, like thought jamming people, intercepting thoughts, remote neural monitoring, trying to basically confuse you with certain frequencies or make you really tired out of nowhere. Sometimes I'll just get really tired, for no reason. And it feels like it's artificial. It doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel natural or organic. It feels like it's induced or an artificial sort of induction, is what it feels like. So this is what I deal with. This is what a lot of TIs deal with. The all-encompassing. It's all the same. We're not talking about seeing, things that aren't there. We're not talking about, just because you're talking about people following you and under surveillance. That's very possible. That's pretty easy to do with today's modern day technology and tracking, and GPS and following people around from one location to the next is pretty damn easy for these guys to do it. Another tactic that they've mentioned is block watching, watching the block, having people around, organized. Basically what they're doing is they're the organized criminals pointing and painting the picture that we're the criminals. We're the people that are suspicious. Targets are people that need to be watched closely, and looked into and researched and experimented on. And they've, like I said, they've basically ignored me and the police, some of the police departments and where I live. It's not just where I live, but they'll do it differently. I've noticed this. They will follow you from one location to the next. Same stuff will happen, but they'll do it differently depending on where you're at. That same person could get a little bit lighter, more mild gang stalking, like where I'm at right now. They're still doing it, but it's a little more mild. And they make it seem like it's just regular police, sort of just like scanning the block, watching, sitting there for hours. It's not as intense where they're driving around me. They're They are though. Like today, they were, and it's usually on days where I'm making progress, which is pretty consistent with what everyone else is saying. You're making progress. You're living your life, and they're trying to stop you or intimidate you with their badge or their uniform or whatever. They're using cell site simulators, which can be subpoenaed, which are illegal to use, man. Illegal, you know. Fake cell towers are highly illegal for the police to use unless there's a warrant. I believe they have to have a warrant from the court, and they're getting fake warrants too. They're getting warrants based on shit premises and causes to basically steal our civil rights away from us. Basically, you know, take certain. There's certain people that are trying to targeted individuals. They're trying to take all of our freedom, everything they can, away from us. Yeah. I've kind of backed down a little bit. I moved cities completely. I moved probably like 30 minutes away again, and it's it's followed me here, but it's not as bad, and I don't think it'll get as bad. I don't think it can, but it could. I don't want to say that it could easily get worse, and it could get just as bad, if not worse, if they wanted to. And that's why I'm filing a lawsuit, because I'm not going to live out of fear or paranoia or stress constantly year after year and have to worry about, am I going to keep getting pulled over? Am I going to keep getting questioned by the police, ticketed? They just, for a while, they were trying to catch me for marijuana because they knew I was smoking weed, but they couldn't bust me. Like, they could not make a bust. In 2024, they failed, huge fail. Look, police just looked like embarrassed at that point because, they were thinking they were going to catch me slipping, and they never could. It's not about me disrespecting the police. It's about, civil rights and following the law and following the Constitution of the American public. And they're not doing that. These cops are part of the criminal syndicate, guys. They are part of the criminal network. They're not good, most of them. And the good ones end up getting drowned out because most of your cops have sold out to the syndicate. And they're just doing what they're told to do. They don't even care if it's true. They're just taking orders from whoever's telling them to do it, whatever, blindly, and then saying, okay, who cares if it's true? Let's just do it. Let's just do it anyway. One second, grabbing something. So that's what I've dealt with. Got a little drink of milk there. That's what I've dealt with, guys, for the past real bad since I was 16, but they've been doing it my whole life, looking back. And that's when it got really bad. When I was 16, they started really harassing me, questioning. Really getting in my face. Really getting in my face with it. Getting principals involved, getting, cops involved. I started to notice intense surveillance. I started to notice, cops would be sitting in my neighborhoods I'd be living in, or they'd be cruising around. It's not just that they're there. They're doing surveillance. Like, they're doing exactly what you think they're doing, but they're trying to play it off like they're not doing something. But they are. And you're not paranoid, and I'm not paranoid, and we're definitely not mentally ill for believing that we're under surveillance in a police state. And they're surveilling pretty much everybody, but they're not doing it like they're doing it to targeted individuals. Like, they're really going after us. They're seeking us out. And they know we're probably the last people that are going to commit the crimes they're suspecting us of, or they've got no probable cause or jurisdictional control over what's really what they're doing. They're not allowed to intercept your cell phone signal, because when they do that, they can look at all the data and anything you're doing in real time while you're connected to that, and probably even after the point. Probably after they've collected that data, they can save it, create files out of it. go back on it and they'll joke about. I've heard cops joke about this stuff and how they're abusing their power and they're getting away with it. And these people that are doing this are narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths. Working, some of them working as police. Not just police. It's crooked attorneys. It's really a crooked system when you get down to it. That's just really what the system is. It's just a crooked system. It's a crooked world. This thing will follow you, I've heard, to other countries. It definitely in the United States will follow you to all 50 states. You're not able to get away from it if you're on a higher level target. For some people, I've heard of moving around a state or two over from the original state where it started, and they'll leave you alone. I've heard of that happening. That's more rare. That's more on like the milder forms of targeting. I'm talking about the higher levels where they're there like waiting for you before you get there. They're ready. They're probably even following you on the way there. And they've got police, like I've done it. So I would know, guys. I mean, I have left the state and had these guys flying over me, watching me, driving on the ground, watching me, having certain organizations represented on license plates and Freemasons watching me, all in hopes to, make me homeless and vulnerable. They've made me homeless several times. Right now I'm living out of a hotel. I mean, I don't exactly own my own house, so I'm working on it. And I'll be damned, I'm not going to let anybody stop me this time. I just know now that I'm blacklisted for whatever reason from employment, from gainful, consistent employment, to the point where I had to open another business again. So that's where I'm at, and it's worth it. It's paying me way more and more liquid than any of the jobs I've ever had in my life. So I know that really it's working. God, working as a wage slave is not the way to go for me. I would never want to be a part of corporate America and the shit show that they've got going on. It's a necessary part, I guess you want to call it necessary, but I'm personally, you guys know what I'm talking about. We're not going to just make it easy for them to take our money and go from job to job to job. It's not even an option. So I won't even consider it. So there's really no workplace harassment that's going on because they're not able to harass me in that way. But they're still watching me daily, 24/7 surveillance. I've committed no crimes. I'm not guilty of any crimes. I know in my heart, in my action, I'm a clean person, legal person that follows the law. This is continued update. The guys, they switch tactics depending on where you go. They still do it though. With that, I'm going to get going. Bye.